I want to get your take on how President Trump has handled racial issues because, to be perfectly frank with you, I am not completely comfortable with President Trump on issues of race. I think that
who's completely comfortable with Trump at all? I mean, come on.
Well, yeah,
I don't think Trump's completely comfortable with Trump.
He may be the only person who's completely comfortable with President Trump. But the rap on him, he's obviously been called racist by a large number of people who are running. My opinion of that is that he is a man who says many ignorant things because he is not the kind of person who says non-ignorant things. But obviously he shot himself in the foot on a lot of these issues with things like Charlottesville, with his casual kind of winks and nods at the alt-right during the 2016 election. What's your take on Trump on race?
Well, first of all, you have to understand that as a Republican president, he's going to be called racist. If Donald Trump had not gotten elected and somebody else, Republican, had Mike Pence, whoever might have been running, he or she would be called racist. Reagan was called racist. Maxine Waters called George Herbert Walker Bush a racist. George W. Bush was called a racist. So they're always called racist. Donald Trump is a whole nother level, I will give you that, but they're always called racist. So the idea that Donald Trump is being called a racist should not surprise anybody because that's how they roll. He hasn't helped any by some of the comments that he's made. But that said, I had a caller the other day who told me I was, quote, always defending that racist in the White House, close quote, black caller. And I said, all right, let's cut to the chase. Tell me the number one thing that Trump has done that you consider to be racist. Number one thing he's done or said. He said, he says that black people are lazy. I said, you're referring to a book that was written by a disgruntled, fired, ex-Trump employee. Even one of the liberal fact-check organizations couldn't confirm that comment. Is that all you have? He said, well, the 1975 consent decree that he entered into, where he admitted that, well, he didn't admit anything, but he was accused by the FHA of discriminating against would-be black and brown tenants. Now, he had black and brown tenants. He didn't want it to lease to a certain category that he thought couldn't pay their rent. And he was sued, and they entered into a consent decree, didn't admit any guilt. It lasted for 2 years. He was 28 years old at the time. He took over from his dad's business. So it was his dad's business practices that he was following. And after 1975, go on YouTube, and you'll see pictures of Trump with Jesse Jackson, Trump with Al Sharpton, Trump with John Johnson, the editor of Ebony Magazine, Trump with all these local black leaders. So if the 1975 consent decree didn't bother them, it shouldn't bother me either, and it doesn't. I don't know any large landlord who hasn't been sued. And by the way, the Washington Post just settled a lawsuit claiming racial discrimination by a disgruntled longtime ex-employee who got fired. CNN is right now fighting a lawsuit by a group of people claiming discrimination, as is the New York Times. So bring me somebody with clean hands and then we'll talk. That's all the guy had. And, the comment about the good guys on both sides, he didn't say that. He was referring to the battle over whether or not Confederate monuments should be in the public square. That's what he meant. And he's a sloppy speaker. And so it's easier for somebody to take those words and interpret it as saying there were good Nazis and bad Nazis. He didn't say that. And he's renounced David Duke many, many, many times. I don't know how many more times you have to do that. Doing something about illegal immigration, to me, is a big boon to black people. George Borjas is a Harvard economist where you went to school, and he says he's probably done more research on the impact of legal and illegal immigration than anybody else in the country. So there's no question that unskilled illegal immigrants take away jobs from inner city black and brown people who are unskilled and puts downward pressure on their wages. Donald Trump wants to do something about that, and that makes him a bigot. The other thing is this. Inner city parents want vouchers. They want to say, I don't want to send my kid to Larry Elder's alma mater, Crenshaw High School, where kids right now, only 3% of kids can do math at grade level. What responsible parent would send their kid to a school where only 3% of the kids there can do math at grade level? Nobody would. But if you don't have any money, you don't have any options. So if you live across the street from Crenshaw High School, your kid's going there, whether you want to or not. And by the way, it's a Crip school, meaning the Crips run it. I know that because Ice-T went there 10 years after I did, and that's why he chose the school, because he wanted a school that is run by the Crips. Who would send their kid to a school that's run by the Crips, and where only 3% of kids can do math at grade level if they have an option? The Democrats are wetted at the hip with the teachers union, don't want to give you an option, don't want to give you vouchers. Republicans do. So if the route to the middle class is to get an education, and the Republicans are giving me a better route to that, why am I going to call this guy a racist? How does that make him a racist? If that's racism, he needs to go back to racism school.